Welcome to the State Farm Center on the campus of the University of Illinois, and we're here to bring you the 2017 Class 2A State Individual Wrestling Championships. This is Kevin Burke along with Coach Mike Bukowski, and Boo, we're in for a great night of wrestling. Tell us a couple of things that stand out in your mind.
Well, first of all, just a tremendous tournament so far, Kevin. Outstanding job by these young men and their coaches to get to this point. I think what stands out in the 2A level is 195 pounds. We've got Jake Warner from Washington, and he's trying to become a three-time state champion. He's ranked #1 in the country. Hunter Crowley from Muhammad Seymour is a very, very tough young man. He's going to have something to say about that. I think that's got to be the feature match of the night.
Yeah, and like we talk about with Jacob, he's also ranked 3rd in the world in freestyle, so he's just had such a great career. So wrestling fans, sit back and enjoy as we bring you the finals here, where we'll crown 14 individual state wrestling champions here on Comcast Sports.
Today's IHSA Individual Wrestling Championships are brought to you by Country Financial. At Country Financial, we understand that helping you means knowing you. Take charge of owning your future with Country Financial. Call your local rep at 1-866-COUNTRY or visit ownyourfuture.com.
Back with our first match of the night here at 152 pounds. We'll have Trent Rakers from Highland, a senior, 37-0, ranked 3rd in the state. He's in the red singlet. Demarius Smith from Rantoul, a senior, 38-1, ranked 2nd in the state. He's in the purple singlet. These two met last week in the sectional final, and Rakers got a 4-2 win. Remember, our rankings come out before the regionals, so that's why Rakers is still ranked ahead of him. Good match down there in the Mascoutah sectional. So this will be, I think we have a couple other matches where there are rematches of a sectional match here in the state finals. Smith in on a shot, and Rakers just has such strong hips. As you'll see, I've watched him over the weekend, and he just uses his hips so well with things. In Highland, not a school a lot of you hear a whole lot about, but they've had a couple exceptional individuals. Tanner Farmer, a 2-time state champion at heavyweight. Nick Czar followed him the next year, finishing 2nd in the state at 285. So they've got a tradition of having some good, solid individuals in the state tournament series. Smith from Rantoul, again, their school's not one of those schools known for wrestling, but their coach does a great job down there as far as getting few kids. Knows he's not going to have a great dual meet team. Oh, Smith in on a nice shot. Boy, he's got to score from here. Oh, just such great hips for Rakers. Smith scrambling out and and they go out of bounds. Scott Holbrook, referee, that did just a great job there, letting them move, didn't get excited and give the takedown too early. And as I was saying, Rantoul, he does a nice job. He's got 3 or 4 kids who are just tremendous individuals. Not going to hear much from them in the dual part of any of this stuff, but for individuals, they do really, really well. So we're still 0-0 here, midway, almost at the end of the first period. Smith in on another shot. Well, that's 2 times he's been in and couldn't score. You're not going to get many opportunities against Rakers. He probably needed to finish one of those. As we'll go to the second period. Coin flip here. Rakers going to get choice. And he's going to defer. Smith with choice now. We'll assume he's going to go underneath and try and get his escape. He chooses down. Used to be, I'd consider it unusual, or Rakers would defer 0-0 because of the fact in the ultimate tiebreaker you would get choice if you scored first. But looking at it and talking to various coaches, you got to deal with this based on your boy's capabilities. Maybe he's confident at Highland being on top, not afraid to go to that sudden victory and not having the hammer or getting choice. He's more than willing to be on top of Smith. And he's looked solid up there right now. Boy, he's just grinding those legs in with the... Again, Smith's got his head down. He's got to work a little bit harder than that. No bad idea to ever have your head on a mat. Rakers running those hips. I mean, just such strong thighs makes this really difficult for Smith to be able to do anything. And staying active with his both hands. And again, that's what you look for in a wrestler if you're a referee. Someone who's active with their hands on top. If you see that, you're going to let them ride for a while because it looks like they're trying to pin people. Whereas Smith here, his head's down and he's not being real active, doing a whole lot. We'll see what happens as potential stalling call here. Rakers continuing to move. Keeps working that crossface series where, yep, there's the stalling warning on bottom. You could almost see it coming there. Smith now tries to stand. You better be careful to get cradled. And again, Smith has great tournaments so far. In the quarterfinals, he beat Kirkman from Lamont, who was ranked first in the state. Semifinals, he beat from Washington, Kyle Goyne, who was ranked fourth in the state. So to get here, he's done him some really good things. And we'll see how this last 2 minutes and 30 seconds ends up for him. He's on his feet. First period, remember, he had a couple chances to score and just couldn't get it done. And we'll see if that comes back to haunt him, because right now Rakers is being really solid up there on top. And running his feet. And there's a nice ride out. And again, like I told you at the start of this period, maybe that's why he deferred. He had no fears because he knew he could ride him. Right away, he's going to the bottom. So assuming he gets his escape, he'll have a 1-0 lead here, and we'll see what happens here in the last 2 minutes. Oh, nice switch. Comes up to a standing position, looking to get the reversal, and not going to get that. But I think, yep, they're going to give him 1-0 here, 1:54 left in the match. And here's where Smith, he's got to get that to that offense again. Remember, in the first period, he was in there twice deep and just didn't quite finish it. Now Rakers doing a good job. He's forcing a tie on him. It's hard for Smith to use his quickness against this tie situation. Again, Smith need to get him moving a little bit, get his feet active. Remember, Smith has been warned for stalling if that would come into play eventually. He's backing up a little bit there and don't want to back up again. He might get hit for that stalling. This would cost him a point. And you can see Highland's coach saying, keep that arm up, get that hook on him, and keep your hands up on him. And we're inside a minute. Again, Smith's got to get something going, start trying to force the action. He's letting Rakers control the ties. 1-0 favor of Rakers here, inside 40 seconds now. Rakers doing a great job using the mat to his advantage, staying in bounds. Smith with a shot. Maybe he's got to hit what I'd call a reshot, where he gets that shot, bails out, and right away comes to another one, because he's not having any success finishing that first one. And now Smith's got to take a chance. He's got only 19 seconds left, and he's got to come hard one time in an effort to win this. And Rakers isn't letting him do it. He's getting that collar tie with his right hand and just slowing Smith down. Smith in on his shot, but wasn't close to scoring, and we will have a state champion here at 152 pounds in our first match of the night. Trent Rakers, 38-0, and again, congratulations, super match. Smith, only 2 losses this year to Rakers, 4-2 and 1-0, so he's had a great season also. We will be right back with more championship action on Comcast Sportsnet. And we're back here at 160 pounds. We have Pat Schoenfelder from Antioch. Pat with a record of 50 wins, 2 losses. He's a senior. He was second in the state last year at 152 pounds. He's against Peyton West from Springfield High. Peyton, a junior with a record of 40 wins and 4 losses. And all year long, Schoenfelder, he's ranked first in the state at this weight in an early takedown. So he leads 2-0, and West is one of those stories you like to see. Came into the tournament ranked 10th, and in order won 7-5, 5-1, and 5-3 in overtime. He just kind of grinded his way to the finals match, and you know that's a tribute to the coaching, his dedication, all those other things that allowed him to win those tough matches during the course of a tournament. And again, he's in the finals, give himself a chance maybe to be a state champion. Wilbur Barrero's the coach up at Antioch, and got a chance in the last few years to watch Antioch's kids wrestle quite a bit, and they do really, really well. They're fun to watch, very technically strong, and he's had a real successful career there. Down in Springfield, Bob Nesbitt was down there for years. Retired, replaced by Matt Berger, and Max kept a great tradition they've got down in Springfield. Oh, another nice takedown for Schoenfelder. He'll lead 4-1 here. Again, look at the way he's riding those hips so tight. Working for his arm bar.
He's putting a lot of pressure on West, making it very difficult. He's on a 4-1 lead here. He's got about 22 seconds left. He wants to stay on.
And he's got the stall warning.
Well, again, second match in a row now. The bottom wrestler has drawn the first stall warning.
I'm looking.
Got a little bit of an equipment situation here. Again, we got 17 seconds left. Pat Schoenfelder from Antioch is winning 4-1. And they'll retreat to their corners. Peyton West has a issue with his headgear. He's wearing a mask.
Yeah, so many different reasons why you wear the mask. Usually nose, cut someplace on the face.
Right. Well, it's difficult, you know, and that's one of the things. Obviously, not a lot of guys are used to doing that. It's not something they wear usually.
Yeah, you got to really get used to it. You got to practice with it on, because it's got to be just different as far as vision and so on.
No doubt about it.
And again, you mentioned both stalling warnings have been bottom person. Top guy's doing a good job of driving forward, so he keeps the bottom person's head down. And that's one of the things referees look for. If that head's down, they feel that you're not making an effort to get places.
Absolutely. You know, Kevin, we've talked before in years past, you and I, about as Smith is going to go down here, or excuse me, West is going to go down here to start the second period. 4-1 lead by Schoenfelder.
Going to cut him.
We've talked before about, you know, comparing wrestling in the state of Illinois to other states. And it's one of the things I think in the last 3 or 4 years, I think I've seen a real hard emphasis on mat wrestling, especially riding and turning. And I think you're starting to see that with some of the success that we're starting to have at the collegiate level. And I think that's been something that we have identified. Schoenfelder is doing a real good job here. He's dictating this match.
He's just so physical on his feet with the 6-2 lead. Yeah, because remember, we always discuss that our kids in college get there and they're good on their feet, but in college, so much of it's the riding time and being able to get away off the bottom, and our kids really struggle with it. So yeah, hopefully we're making some progress on
right.
that.
Well, it looks like, you know, again, there's this whole core group of guys, you know, 2-3 years that I'm going back now. They really seem to, you know, they're hammers on top. They're really, you see more and more of it now down here, and I think that's a real good thing for the future of Illinois wrestling. Go ahead, Kevin.
We're both old enough where you remember back in the old days where that's what you did. You got on somebody and you called it ground and pound them, get them on the ground and just beat on them.
Well, then everyone told us that wasn't exciting, so everyone wanted to wrestle on their feet, and they got what they wanted. We're under a minute here in the second period. 6-3 Schoenfelder.
Okay, nice shot again. Boy, he's just so well schooled on his feet. 8-2, 8-3 lead.
Be interesting to see what he does here now. If he's going to cut him, looks like Wilbur Barrero gave him the signal to cut. He's going to cut him, make it 8-4. He's got 41 seconds left to make this pay off for the end of the period.
Yeah, West needs to get this takedown to get back in the match. If he could make it 8-6 going into the third, he's in it. Straight on glass double.
Well, that was a nice job there by West. A nice re-shot, a half shot. That last 10 seconds was a nice flurry.
So see if West can make something happen in the last 20 seconds. I like the way so far, Boo, both kids on both matches have stayed in the center, moving around. I hate when people wrestle the edge.
There's a stalling call there.
Yeah, he's not being active enough on his feet.
On West. So it's a 9-4 match, started the third period. Schoenfelder's going to start down.
Again, coaching philosophy, Boo, you got a 5-point lead. You've taken him down 4 times, and yet you let him be on top of you. That worked out well. Obviously, he escapes within 2 seconds.
Well, you know, that's probably a scouting thing too, Kevin. I'm sure they've scouted and they've done their homework and said, hey, we're not going to have, you know, he's not a cradler or a leg guy or what have you, so we're gonna get our points as we can. You know, now we got a major decision set up. Not that it matters scoring-wise here, but you kind of got to think that way. Boy, he does a real good job of moving his opponent around once he secures that leg. He's really finished well.
Yeah, we always say run your feet, and that's exactly what he's doing there. He's getting at the leg and not just standing there holding on. He's putting him off balance.
Well, he's up 12-4 with 1:20 left in the third period.
Just really riding hard right now.
Again, he's really hammering, working for that turn. West can't build a base. The only way he's able to come up is to turn his hips, and then he's got such a deep waist on him. He's really getting ready to load him up. So,
you know, how important are your hips to a wrestler? We've been mentioning them here early. Biggest part of the body for
absolutely everything goes through the hips. You know, neutral position, as we just have established already. Riding has a lot to do with the hips and you know, the core strength that you have. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
What are the basic exercises you have your kids work on to develop the hips?
Well, you know, when you're talking about off-season stuff, you know, I know that I talk to a lot of college coaches, and you know, cleans, those types of explosive movement exercises are real good things. A lot of kids do that. You know, and wrestlers, you know, anything that incorporates movement with that, squatting, obviously deadlifting, but more movement and explosive type stuff, less of the real slow and heavy and lethargic types of things we used to do. A lot of the movement and you know, sandbags and those kind of things, the explosive stuff, the tire flipping. We're under 10 seconds here now.
Yep, like you said, West had a great tournament. Just in the finals, he ran out of gas a little bit. So we'll have a state champion from Antioch, Pat Schoenfelder, 51-2, Boo.
Great job, congratulations.
We will be right back with more championship action on Comcast Sportsnet.
Here at 170 pounds, and we've got Jake Lanning from from Pontiac High School. He is 46-0, and we've got Joe Meyer from Marengo. He's 42-1. This ought to be a doozy right here. And Lanning's in right now.
Yeah, I've watched Lanning wrestle since he was a little kid, Boo, and he really comes out after you hard. Their coach up there at Pontiac, Corey Christensen, teaches an aggressive style, and he just really solid with it. Early takedown, he's ahead 2-0.
So Tim Kiefer again having a very, very outstanding season, 42-1 coming into this match. So again, another feature match. Corey Christensen, you mentioned, the coach from Pontiac. Tim Kiefer, the head coach at Marengo. And
watch the way Lanning just runs his feet on top. So many kids you watch, they lay there on their knees and don't use their hips and leg drive to keep them flat.
Well, again, you know, talk about that angle of the shoelaces. You know, when the shoelaces are getting flat to the mat like that, you know, he's doing a good job. You're keeping your knees and your ankles in line. When you're laying down, you're lazy. You don't get that drive. You don't have that leg drive on top. And this is the third match in a row we've seen outstanding wrestling on top so far early in this match.
That goes back to what you were saying. In Illinois, we're getting better at this.
Yep, no doubt about that. So Lanning was 6th last year at 170, so he's obviously had a state title in his sights for this entire season and put together an undefeated record.
Dave Fellinger from Chicago is our head referee. Ray Epperson from Yorkville is working with him. And while we have a second, Boo, explain to our listeners or viewers what the assistant referee's job or role is in all this.
Well, the assistant referee really has a lot to do with match mechanics. You know, the clock. If there's an outage in terms of you know, timing or something happens, the assistant referee is supposed to take care of that. The assistant referee can look for illegal starts on different angles. He can see things, and he's there to assist the referee if he sees some type of situation. I think the best referees, Kevin, are the ones that, you know, get advice and consult with the assistants throughout the match, because that shows me they don't have an ego. As you see Ray Epperson right there, he just walked by and said something, you know, to Dave Fellinger. Maybe it was something he saw. Maybe it was, hey, keep an eye on this. Hey, watch this. You know, I think that's just good officiating, that I think.
And like you said, communication's so important for him when you have the two officials out there.
We've got a 2-0 lead here for Lanning. He's down to start the second period. He did a nice job there. Started into a little bit of a Granby series, and he just kind of gazonied out and ended up with a reversal.
Unique. Looked like he was going to hit him with the roll and came back the other way and ended up getting the two.
You know, speaking of referees, it's good to see these two gentlemen down here. You know, I know, you know, Ray Epperson used to coach. He was a coach in the Wabanzi, Yorkville schools for a while, and that's where I first knew him and got into officiating, or got heavily into officiating later, and he's an excellent official. And Dave Fellinger is another guy. I saw him for many years at the Hinsdale South Tournament. I used to run into him there when I was coaching, and here's a guy that I thought was an outstanding referee, and really I thought he could have been down here a lot sooner. It's great to see now. I think our state has made a great conscious effort to try to get some of these young guys opportunities early in their career, and it's good to see these two guys out here today.
Well, we need to start getting them. So many of our officials are getting a little older as far as things go, and we need people to replace them. So yeah, that's correct, that we're getting a chance to see some of these people. And Boo, you traveled around quite a bit throughout the Midwest when you were a coach. How do our referees in Illinois rate with some of the ones you see throughout the central part of the United States?
Ooh, there's a nice tilt there.
Yeah, real pretty.
And he's got the 2 count right there, so he's up 6-0. You know, the officiating here is very good. You know, we were fortunate enough. I've been out to Ohio, and while wrestling at the Ironman, they brought in officials from Pennsylvania and other states out there, so we see a little bit of flavor of that. Of course, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and I'll tell you what, you know, our officials do an excellent job. I know they work very hard at it. Nobody ever likes the officials, especially if there's a call that goes against you one way or the other. The people are easy to criticize, but these guys do a good job and they work hard. It's very, very difficult to officiate. I'll tell you, if you're a coach and you've ever, you know, officiated challenge matches in your room,
exactly.
You know, I'll tell you what, that's one of the worst parts of the job, is having to sort that mess out. So that's something that you don't really want to have to go through, and you really have an appreciation of these guys.
Lanning's riding out the second period. He'd be ahead 6-0 with under 5 seconds. And we'll go to the third period.
Now let's see if where Joe Meyer is going to be here from Marengo. He's going to choose neutral, which I think is a good decision. He's got to get something going here. He can't waste any more time being on the bottom. He's got to score now.
Yeah, he's got to take some type of takedown and put him on his back, but no, that's just a nice shot. And again, notice the way he elevated the hips to finish that.
Right. So Lanning is up 8-0. early in the third period. He's really has command of this match right now.
Boo, earlier tonight we saw history made in the state of Illinois over on the AAA mat. To lead you into this, you have in the IKWF a potential to win 9 state championships. In the high school level, or excuse me, 5 state championships. 4 in the high school level for a total of 9. Nobody had ever won 9. To the best of our knowledge, Boo, there was 3 people who'd won 8. Mike Benefield, who you had the opportunity to coach, Israel Martinez, and Isaiah White. And Austin O'Connor tonight won the 9th, and that's history as far as we know.
That's just absolutely unbelievable. And there's another tilt by Lanning. He's got the 2 count, so he's going to go up 10-1 here in total command. Yeah, I mean, that's just incredible to be that good, you know, and have that pressure on you every year. You know, it's amazing, you know, and that's a tribute to that young man. The records keep falling for him every time he steps on the mat. I know at the Catholic League Conference Tournament this year, he won his 4th title there, which is a very prestigious thing everywhere he goes. Yep. And he deserves it. He's really a hard-working young man, and you know, there's a reason why there's only been one guy to win 9 titles. Kevin.
Yeah, quite a thrill and honor for him.
So Lanning has really showed, you know, all 3 areas here. He's been dominant in this match. He's up 12-1, 45 seconds left to go. Joe Meyer is doing a good job, finishing hard.
And Lanning's going to go next year, Boo, to the University of Buffalo to wrestle. And they tell me he's also up for some academic awards through the IHSA and so on. So he's a very good student also.
Oh, there's a very rare situation for a fall on a tilt. He just got his chin over the top.
Exactly. So our state champion at 170 pounds, undefeated, 47-0, Jake Lanning from Pontiac. Boo, we've seen some great matches so far. Take a break and we'll be back with 182 in just a few minutes. All right, we're back at 182 pounds, our 4th match of the night, Boo.
Well, we've got Cameron Caffey from Carbondale. He's a senior. He was 4th in the state last year at 170 pounds. And Cody Baldridge of Morris, he's a junior. He was 2nd last year at this weight, 182. So another great match here. Kevin, looks like 2 very physical young men.
Yep, and Caffey will be in the green ankle bands, and Baldridge will be in the red. And yeah, Caffey's ranked #1 according to the Go Earn It wrestling rankings we put together through Illinois Mapman, and Baldridge is ranked #3. In fact, Caffey beat Riley Vanek from Canelan in the semis, who was ranked 2nd. So very solid weight class here. If I remember correctly, Baldridge wrestled Jacob Warner in the finals last year at 182. And
yes, that's
Warner,
correct.
as we'll see here in a few minutes, he's something special. Boo.
Right. Morris, John Lanning is still the head coach there at Morris, and Baldridge again has got experience. He was a finalist last year.
And his brother was an outstanding wrestler there, and dating back a little bit more,
Yep.
John Durgo, and when George Durgo was the coach, boy, they had some tremendous teams.
Correct. Oh, there's a good shot defense there.
And while we're talking coaches, one of my favorite ones is over in the Carbondale corner, Dennis Reagan. Dennis been there forever, and I believe that's his son Jared sitting there next to him coaching with him. And that's always got to be a great to coach with your son. Then his daughter Allie's one of the best freestyle wrestlers, female-wise, in the world. So he's just a real great person down there.
And a big wrestling family, obviously.
Boy, you're right. These are 2 put-together high school students, aren't they?
They sure are. We got 35 seconds left here. Obviously, 0-0 match. Now, in these upper weights, Kevin, a lot of times that's a lot more where that hammer comes into play that we talk about.
The overtime,
the overtime
exactly.
ride-out. Usually, it doesn't seem to affect matches so much with the littler guys. That they're a little bit more active and find ways to score, but sometimes with these bigger guys, it's going to be big here, whoever gets this flip.
Again, a lot of action for two bigger kids, but they tend to do it more from a tie-up position.
2 seconds.
Yeah, we'll go to the second period. Ray Eichelscholde's in charge this match. Ray from Fowler, Illinois, and Chris Camp from Deer Creek's working with him.
Again, two veteran officials.
Caffey will take bottom. Kind of a nice power stand there, and Baldridge basically just cut
not
him.
much of a resistance. So that was a nice timing, nice reshot again. Good, tough hips.
That's the one thing we see so many times. That original shot, they're good enough to defend it. It's the reshot one way or the other. The guy coming out of the shot or the guy who made the shot.
No, there's no doubt about that. And you know, that's really the essence to being a good wrestler. And there's a nice shot right there.
Oh boy, I like the way he swept that leg on, put him on his hip real fast. Caffey needs to look for a stalemate here. She's just locking the crotch. And
he's trying to get high. Oh, out the back door. He goes across the other ankle.
Got to drive those hips to score with it.
Well, you know, as you said, running the feet, he left his trail leg there a little bit far. He needed to circle that and stay behind. He might have been in. Now it's going to be real tough. Here comes stalemate.
Yeah. He gave him a chance to score. Nobody was making some action, so they're going to bring him back up.
Minute 5 left here in the second period. Caffey's up 1-0.
Blue, there's been some talk about getting a push-out rule involved with college and high school wrestling, or if you push them out to the edge and they step out of bounds on your feet, you get a point to avoid a lot of that mat technique where you stand at the edge. How do you like that?
I don't. I think our sport is getting better and better, and something like that severely changes the technique of the sport. It severely changes.
Teach kids to push.
Exactly. And I really think it's something that we don't need. I think the sport is doing well on its own. I think there is a lot of action. You know,
that's pretty. Wasn't that something for a big kid toes? Got to keep them in.
Well, I used to call that one of my assistant coaches who I ran into last night, old guy Tony Marty Twister, we used to call that. I haven't seen that in years, Kevin.
That was really sweet for a boy his size.
Well, he's obviously very athletic. Both of these young men. We're under 10 seconds here now. Again, we got a 1-0 match. Now, I'm sure that Baldridge is going to go down here and want to tie this match up.
And I've watched him for a long time also, and he's very active on his feet. He just hasn't been able to finish anything yet.
Right.
Trying to slide the leg in. Nice job of counter and kept it off. Got control of it. Big to these scores there. There's the one.
170-pound place winners should be in the awards area at this time. All 170-pound award winners should be in the awards area at this time.
1-1 here in the third period. We got a little bit over 1:30 left.
And I like the ties, the head positioning that they're using. Boy, he's got him on his hip again.
Now see if he can keep and not leave that trail leg behind.
To me, I look to change off to a double here. Take that right hand around.
He's got to have a good angle. He's got to let him not drape over and take that ankle. See, now he's got a boot scoot there. He's going to come out the back.
Oh, watch the knee there.
Yeah. Boy, good wrestling there by both guys.
So that is the one thing I would like to see change. They get to the edge as soon as somebody's feet go out of bounds. They break it by a rule. I'd like to maybe give them some more leeway. The mats are basically too small for some of these kids.
Well, you know, that you talk about a good rule. That's a college rule now.
Yep,
and that's
exactly.
Good. Oh, there's a nice job right there.
Oh, got a mat returning.
Oh, I think he didn't call it yet. Didn't call yet. There it is.
That should be the two.
Okay, there's a minute left now. Baldridge really got to get to work here now.
Got both legs in. Needs to chop those elbows if he can to get him flat. Baldridge in a good tripod. We'll see if he gets a stalemate. Good call. He wasn't working to chop him. He was just hanging on there on top.
Aldridge really has to get going here now.
Yeah, because you figure Caffey will give him an escape if he needs to, and he's not going to have much time.
Nice ride right there.
He's staying active enough with his hands on top.
25 seconds left here. It's a 3-1 lead.
He looked at the clock, though. I hate it when kids look at a clock. Yeah, he's riding heck out of him up there. Staying active with the hands, which means they're going to let you do something. Got the leg split. Yeah, he rode 25 seconds just simply because he was staying so active with his hands.
Won that Grammy a couple of times.
Just couldn't quite finish it.
There it is.
Again, a great
ran out of time. Great match by both guys.
Again, Cameron Caffey, #1 ranked from Carbondale, 44-0, will be our state champion. Cody Baldridge, 3rd ranked, 42-2, will finish 2nd.
We will be right back with more championship action on Comcast Sportsnet.
Back for a 195-pound matchup here, and this should be a great one for us, Boo.
Well, as we talked in the top of the show, Kevin, Jacob Warner from Washington, ranked #1 in the country. He's been running through high school competition, and he's looking for his 3rd state title here tonight. He was a 4-time finalist. And he has drawn Hunter Crowley from Muhammad. Now, Hunter's had a great tournament himself. Okay, he was 4th last year at 182 pounds, so I know he's gonna let it all hang out here.
Yeah, and according to the Illinois Mapman Government rankings, Warner's ranked 1st, Crowley 2nd. So he's got 54 wins, Boo. So he's pretty legitimate as far as stuff. But Warner, he's just so impressive.
He is, for my money, 1A, 2A, 3A. I know this might cause some arguments, but, he may be the best wrestler in this tournament.
Okay, we'll put you on the spot here, Coach. You're coaching Crowley. You're replacing Rob Ledden over there. You know your boy's wrestling one of the best in the world. What do you do to prepare him?
Well, you know what? You enter this match like you do every other match. You battle, you try to win positions, and, at the end of the day, you realize if he wrestles his best and you wrestle your best, he's better than you. But what you want to do is you want to make sure you wrestle your best.
Exactly.
And that's the key. And it's easier said than done, obviously. But, Hunter Crowley, again, he's a 2-time state finalist. I just actually read today that he just tied his school's all-time pin record for a career, which, Muhammad Seymour's got a lot of tradition, a lot of great wrestlers there. So obviously this young man is... he's going in this match. He might be a little overmatched, but, he's going to battle. I'm going to tell you that right now.
And these are 2 of the top AA programs year in and year out. Rob Ledden down at Mohammed, they do just a great job. Consistently have a quality program. And Brian Medlin over there at Washington, defending state champs and heavy favorite to win it again this year. They're just a step above most of these AA schools.
Well, yeah, and Warner himself, you just see how he's grown physically, and he's obviously outstanding. Great lift there, right to a tilt.
And what even better about him, Boo, I've got to know him over the years. He's just a super kid also. That's something I know you appreciate.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Going to go to the University of Iowa next year and compete for them. So, and he's one that he is so good on top on the mat. He's already got that skill that we talk about. We need.
No, I think that's a great choice for him, and that'll be fun watching him wrestle in the Big Ten. Crowley right there got 7 seconds left in the first period.
And like you were talking about, what do you tell him? Make the match last as long as possible.
Right.
Take him, and maybe at some point in time he'll make that one mistake, and you get yourself a huge win.
No doubt about it. I used to sometimes make a little joke with my guys. You try to lighten the load a bit. Hey guys, Dan Gable lost once. That's all you got to say.
You're only 3 seconds away from beating somebody. Just throw him, put him there, and
Exactly.
But Warner's got such a unique style on top. He loves those tips, and he's got no fears of putting his hips in weird positions and still being able to finish them.
Well, that's one of the things too. You talk about the 2A. This program, this Washington program, they made a rise to power, and I'm going to tell you something. With Brian Medlin and the things that they do not only in season but off season, and obviously promoting their kids to be wrestling, freestyle, and Greco. You know, that's been a thing brewing for a number of years down there. And there's no reason why they're a dominant team in Class 2A and in the Central Illinois. I don't care what class they are.
And Jim Carnahan's our head referee here. Jim from Rock Island, Scott Holbrook from Orion's working with him. And yeah, Brian, know him personally. He spends countless hours working with these kids, driving them all over to spring tournaments, summer tournaments. He'll give a lot of credit to his assistant there, Nick Miller, because Nick's with him the whole time. And their kids are so well coached as far as the techniques they use.
Well, and they go out to the Ironman tournament, and, those kind of things. And obviously there's a lot of Washington kids that we're going to see here tonight and have been seen for years. And there's a reason for that. Those kids, they go through the ringer. They tack on 4, 5, 6 losses at some of those big prestigious out-of-state tournaments. And they come here, and you see it every year. The 1 or 2 loss kids or undefeated kids, things have been going well all season for them. But these guys that have been in these grinds and wrestling against other kids that are going to D1 schools and getting other competition in other states, and it's just, you can't replace that. And it's not rocket science. It's not a hard formula. It really is not. But a lot of coaches don't do it, and Coach Medlin certainly does it, and he's that's why his program is becoming one of the best.
Well, we try and look for kids who enjoy that. I mean, they go to these big tournaments. Okay, you might not win it, but gee, I got to compete against the best kids in the state.
Right.
And then eventually they're able to compete against those kids because they get the belief, hey, I belong here. But
absolutely,
you can't get any better just staying in your comfort zone, we'll call it.
Nope.
Warner will take it to the third, ahead 13-4.
Hunter Crowley's doing what we thought he would do. He comes from a great school, traditional, tough background. He's wrestling. He's not giving anything. He's making Warner earn everything, and that's what you'd expect. Even though he might not win this match, that's a championship attitude. He's going to take that with him. .14-4 lead here. We got about 1:40 left in the third period.
Again, look at the way he elevated his hips to finish that.
Right.
Again, we're talking about, they just mentioned Austin O'Connor, a 4-time state champion. Warner, this could be his third. The only one he lost as a freshman, one of the Sutton kids from Richmond Burton. Right. Otherwise, he's a 4-time champion also.
He's up 16-4 here after that takedown.
Looks like he's looking for the tech, maybe.
Be in the awards area at this time.
He's
probably getting a little tired. He's not used to going 6 minutes with doing things, though. Boy, he just does things so hard.
Well, he wins every position. He wins every position, not just scores points. He wins position. The best ones do that. And they never seem to be out of position. He's got heavy hands. I mean, he's got to have sledgehammers out there. The way he gets his hands on and moves bodies around. There's a great example of it right there.
Exactly. 20-7.
Yep, 20-7. We got 51 seconds left.
And again, like you said, Crowley really came out here and wrestled hard, did a lot of good things. He just wasn't quite good enough to beat the number 3 in the world.
Well, and again, he's a 2-time state place winner. He's a finalist. I mean, that's a tremendous career.
And there's going to be our 10.
Yep.
So again, wrestling fans, enjoy this. You're seeing somebody who a few years from now you might be seeing doing some things in the Olympics. He's got that kind of potential. So you saw something special with this one. Our champion at 195 pounds, Jacob Warner from Washington. Again, we're going to take a break, give out some awards, and we'll be back with our 220-pound match
on Comcast Sportsnet.
I'm standing here with Jacob Warner, the 2A state champion from Washington. You're basically ranked number 1 in everything in the United States, number 3 in the world. But how important important was it to complete the deal tonight and to become an Illinois State champion?
Yeah, it's just another tournament, so it's another tournament for me to come out and dominate in. Coming out, it's my last time here, so I wanted to make the hall I wanted to remember it and just go out there and get my third title.
And that you did with style and domination. You're going to go to Iowa next year and be a Hawkeye. How will that change your whole style of wrestling?
I'm a grinder. I'm not slick. I don't do anything special. I amp my hard. I wrestle hard the whole time, and there's no better fit than that than Iowa. I think me going there is a perfect fit. I know I can achieve my goals there.
Well, there you have it, Illinois, the 2A state champion, 195 pounds.
Well, we've got Scott Sierzaga from Brother Rice. He's a senior, and he's ranked 10th this year. And our number 6 ranked Luke Luffman from Urbana, and he was 5th last year at 195 pounds.
And Luffman will be in the green ankle bands. Luffman's only a sophomore, Boo, so this is second time and going to be an all-stater and only a sophomore.
Well, it's a great climb from the podium last year to the final here. So Brother Rice, interesting. You know, they were a 3A program for many years, and then with the advent of the success multiplier and the multiplier,
all that stuff that moves people around.
They'll be competing in 2A. And I think there's actually two or three wrestlers in the 2A tournament this year that I saw that actually placed in 3A last year.
I know there's one at 113 in the finals, actually.
And be competing, so there's a nice shot on that.
And I've got to know these Urbana kids. They're in the same conference as we are, and it's a tribute to them. Their coach, Charles Traveras, don't have a whole lot of kids in the program, but he coaches heck out of the ones they have, and it's just great to see, you know, a school with just a few kids that gets a boy down here in the state finals. Too many times we see a school like Washington, you know, that's got so many of the good, solid kids, Brother Rice, those type of schools. And we'll see another one here from Champaign Centennial at 106.
Right. We had a good exchange there, no points, 45 seconds left in the period.
Kenny Watkins from Maywood's our head referee, and Jeff Bowers. Well, Jeff used to be from Bloomington, but moved up to Wisconsin this past year, so he's technically from Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, but we'll always know him as being from Bloomington.
Right. Yeah, Jeff's a great example of you know, an official that everybody knows. He's got just a great demeanor. You know, Jeff's the type of guy that really takes pride in getting it right. He'll come to you. I've had conversations with him after a duel, after a tournament. Hey, what'd you think about that call that happened in your 152-pound match? I thought I got that right. What did you see? You know, I love talking to a guy like that because, you know, again, he's a very level-headed, grounded guy, and you know, I think he's one of our state's best.
Takes me to my next point. If you were to create a perfect referee, what would he be as far as personality, those kind of things? In other words, what do you look for in a good referee?
Well, I think to be, you know, honest, you look for a lot of the things that you look for in anybody that, you know, from a mental standpoint, an emotional standpoint. It's got to be somebody that's the moment doesn't get too big for them. Just do your job and realize that it's not personal. That's what I think where a lot of referees get themselves into trouble. You know, they get a little too personal. Ooh, there's a tilt situation.
Yeah, nice
tilt. He's got to elevate that low leg there. Oh, we got a 1 count. But that really think, because I think if you have the demeanor, then you're going to do a lot of other things very well, and coaches are really going to work with you. And I think you cut off a lot of the problems. You know, Kevin, we're mourning the loss of a great referee, as Dave Matthews. You know, down here that you know, he hasn't been able to officiate down here for a couple years, but you know, obviously was always here. And you know, Dave was a great example. That guy that just, you know, you hardly could find people to say a bad or negative thing about Dave. You know, and he just loved the sport, loved people, was always approachable. It wasn't above him to admit he made a mistake. You know, he just was a good guy that way.
That's the big thing to me, approachable. If you come in, not going at them yelling and screaming, come in, ask them a question, they're more than willing to work with you. A good referee to me is somebody I can anticipate what they're going to call. I know that, you know, the stalling's coming because they're consistent at it. And guy that maybe you don't even know he was in the match. He was just kind of there. This wasn't the show of the match.
Absolutely. The old adage. Well, you know, and as we have a blood time here, obviously.
And that's what I think is a big part of officiating too. Is that just like anything else, if you want to be a great coach or if you want to be a great wrestler, something has to set you apart from mediocre everyday people. Well, that's the same thing with a referee. Just because they're, officiating the bouts, don't be fooled by that. The good ones are separated because they've got an inner drive that allows them to do those things. Just like the great coaches and the great wrestlers.
They like to compete. They like to compete in a different way. Is what it amounts to.
Absolutely. And just like a good wrestler, you can't take things personally. You have to make sure that you're competing, all the time. But it's the same thing with an official. So,
all right, we're back to the action here. 1:29, second period. Luffman on top. The top position. Score is 0-0. Again, Booz keeps working for that tip. What were you talking about before, as far as you told him to hook the back leg in order to tip him?
Well, when we load him up, and as you're elevating him, you want to get that little toe lift. You lift up that ankle on the back side there. That's where you get a little bit of elevation.
In other words, it's not all the wrist and stuff. It's make the leg chase the wrist.
Right. You get that extra little tip ability with that. We're getting down. We're under a minute now. We're about. We got some more blood again.
That's got to hurt Luffman there because he's just riding the heck out of him. Now Suzago get a fresh start.
Well, the momentum definitely that does hurt the top guy. He'd like that. He'd like this clock to burn off.
Oh, darn right.
If he gets out of this period without giving up a point, he's in real good shape here. Exactly.
He was in perfect position to ride him too. They were here at the edge. If he got in trouble, he could have just drove him out, and he was staying active enough with the tips that Kenny Watkins is going to give him a chance to stay there on top.
So Sierra's guys, they're trying to plug him up over there.
That's somebody else we need to give credit to, the trainers down here this weekend. All the volunteers. I mean, everybody down here, that table help, all the different people, the trainers. And the trainers got a tough job. I mean, they got to come in and get these kids, hopefully, so back on the mat as quick as possible when they're competing.
Well, and it's amazing to know how many people behind the scenes it takes to make this tournament go as smoothly as it does.
I couldn't even guess.
Unbelievable. And there's you see the same guys down here year after year. A lot of the IWCOA guys are involved with that, and they just do yeoman's work, and it just really makes it a great presentation. There's another tilt attempt there. Got 30 seconds left now. Still 0-0 score here. Second period.
This would be a huge ride out.
Absolutely.
And he's got to stay active with those hands now because he's got those legs buried the way he's got him set. He just needs to run his feet up there on top. He wasn't moving his feet, he was just laying on him.
That's 10 seconds left now. That gives Luffman a little bit of, Sierra's a little bit of life.
Yeah, it's a fresh start. Otherwise, he'd have rode him out.
Definitely.
So again, strategy here. Assuming he does get the ride out, Sierra's got. What are you going to do third period? Try and ride him or cut him?
Well, I always like to try to bust him, try to get some kind of a turn. You always want to try to end the match if you can, but you're going to feel that out right away, and you're not going to waste time. But if you take him down twice, you got to take him down twice.
It'd be huge here if you could get the point.
Right. Well, that changes everything without a doubt.
We're still on the blood time here. Now they cut the blood time. Again, this got to be tough on the kids. It just ruins the flow of the match for both sides.
Right. Yeah, it's tough, but again, they've done different things, different rules over the years, and it's something now. We've had these matches tonight. It's the first time we've had this situation. Nothing you can do about it. So I think sometimes they're switch attempt. Oh, nice shin heist there. He almost got that.
He's looking for a locked hands call, and both referees were looking for it. And he said the assistant referee, that's one of his jobs, and Jeff was definitely looking for it. So Luffman will take bottom now, still 0-0.
Does a good job locking the lace in the leg there now. Yeah. He's going to go on his feet. 1-0 here, third period.
So here with the 1-0 lead, do you, hate to use the word, put it in the deep freeze or relax a little bit, or do you want them to be offensive still?
No, I think what you really got to do is, you know, stance-wise, you got to make sure you don't get moved. You got to make sure that you don't get lazy feet. Can't get some kind of a throw by or a drag. That's going to open up. You know you're blocking, you're square. He's not going to score underneath you. Where he's going to try to score here is to try to drag or redirect, some kind of a redirect setup.
See, I like that on Luffman. He went after a shot, even though he's ahead 1-0. He didn't want to play defense. Again, he's eating a lot of clock here.
That's a good square, good high percentage type situation. He's going to really put him on the defensive.
Don't let him walk out. Sayers needs to get out of bounds. He needs to get a fresh break off this.
Oh, there's a nice lift.
I'll keep his feet in. No, stepped out. Good call. According to the high school rules, that's the correct call.
Yep.
44 seconds.
Sierra's has got to really open up here.
Yeah, he hasn't really done much offensively. Because if he tries some work, remember, Luffman has been warned for stalling, but he's not going to get a stalling call here against him.
No.
Or inside 20. Yeah, here's where you have to take a chance.
Well, you got to put pressure on him.
Losing 3-0, 1-0, what difference it makes? And he just can't get there. Todd tried to slide by. Just can't get hit for stalling. They just make sure you
make sure he goes forward. He's got to go
stayed
hard
in the little orange. Again, our state champion from Urbana, 42-3. Only a sophomore, Boo. He's going to have a couple more chances. Luke Luffman.
Congratulations, Luke.
We will be right back with more championship action on Comcast Sportsnet.
Boo, we're back. 285, our big guys, and this is going to be a fun matchup for us. You're really going to like this boy from Bloomington. Boo, how active he is. But go ahead with our
John Ridgway from Bloomington. He's a senior, and he was 4th last year. And Solomon Smith from De La Salle, and he was 5th last year. So we got 1 and 2 here, ranked 1 and 2 in the state. Smith being ranked number 1, and Ridgway being ranked number 2.
Ridgway's more than willing to try some things, Coach. He's really enjoyable to watch, and so well coached. Mark Gardner's got just a great program down there in Bloomington, year in and year out.
Now Smith was from the Catholic League and looked very impressive when I saw him a few weeks ago up there.
Yeah, he had a great state tournament last year. Well, both of them did, as you mentioned.
Yep. So 2 seniors.
And I know, Ridgway's going to ISU to play football, Boo.
Is that right?
Yeah, what's your theory on football players and wrestlers?
Well, everybody knows they go hand in hand. You got to have that. And, to me, when you look at, you listen to NFL coaches, college coaches, they'll tell you the importance of recruiting and drafting football players that wrestled. That's a big thing, and I think vice versa. I think they help each other out. And I think really in terms of 2 high school sports, I can't really think of 2 sports that go kind of hand in hand more than those 2, in my opinion.
Well, we saw some research, and they went through and listed all the professional linemen and stuff like that who wrestled and were good high school, in some cases even college wrestling or wrestlers.
Right. Well, I think it's an outstanding correlation. And again, these guys are getting more and more athletic, every year, and they do a great job.
And it teaches you foot quickness, hip placement. More important to me, it teaches you to compete.
Well, that's the key.
I mean, you're out there competing one-on-one, and that's got to help you as a football player.
No doubt. And that's something I think that's really important. You have to get big and strong. Obviously, the weight room is a big key. for a football program per se, but we used to have a saying all the time, weights don't fight back.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there needs to be a balance of both, obviously.
We would like to make a correction.
And Bloomington, again, talking about the next week with the dual team state tournament. Washington heavy favored. Probably on paper, Bloomington's the second best team in the state, but because they were in the same regional, Bloomington doesn't even get a chance to compete for the state title as a dual team.
Right. Well, and that's, Kevin, we talk about that situation every year down here,
Yep.
And I think that, I think we need to really think about moving to that seeding process. They do it in the other sports. They do it in basketball. They certainly do it in softball, baseball. A lot of the sports at the sectional level, and I think that's what they have to do.
Well, I know through Illinois Map, man, we get a lot of things as far as recommendations, what they should do, and I know Mike, the director of Illinois Mapman's, talked to Craig Anderson and Sam Knox quite a bit, and I think they're looking to do some things. They just aren't sure what.
Right. But the other thing too is every year there's a lot of a knee-jerk reaction too, and so I think that's an important situation. We got a locked hands call here, so
Yep.
that's going to be that could enter in big again, as we talked about with these bigger guys.
Dan Fulcher's our head referee. Dan from Lincoln, Illinois, and Dion Wiley from Richton Park. And Boo, we were talking about younger officials. Dion does a great job.
Right.
I watched him all weekend and hustles, does things right, and like you say, just seems to have the right temperament for a younger person.
Now, see, this is interesting here now, because there comes a stall call, because as that man stands up,
you're throwing the leg.
Exactly.
Yeah, explain the rule to him.
Well, the rule has changed a couple different times. Basically, what it comes down to is, neither man, whether you're the defensive man coming up or whether you're the offensive man, right there now, he's got the leg in secure. So if the defensive man comes up in that situation, then the onus is on him.
Yeah, so it'd be stalling on the bottom.
Exactly,
okay.
possibly.
And then what happens if he throws the leg as you're coming up?
And if the top man's throwing the leg, as just happened with Smith, just the last exchange we had, now the onus is on him, and that's going to be because in the referee's judgment there, he's trying to use a last-ditch effort, so to speak, to try to prevent that.
Smith's doing a good job with these legs for a big guy. He kind of gets them in and rides the heck out of you.
Yeah, I think he's looking for that turf right
he's
there.
Got it.
We'll see what happens.
Ridgway's looking for the defensive fall. If he could hook that head, he's got him in trouble.
He might get it here.
Big trouble.
He got it.
He found the head off the defensive fall. You could see it coming. And the referee, I got to give Dan Fulcher credit. He was in position to call it. Too many times you hook that and they don't see it. So our state champion from Bloomington, John Ridgway, a senior and just a great career, and congratulations to him and Coach Gardner, who, like I said, runs just a great program over there. Right. So we'll be back in a minute. Remember, we're going back to 106 to start with the little guys.
Standing here with Big John Ridgway, a newly crowned heavyweight state champion, Class 2A, Bloomington. Guy, tell me all about the state championship and what it feels like.
I feel like I'm top of the world, honestly. I just feel all the hard work and dedication I've been through from my high school career, junior high career, cutting 50 pounds beginning of the season. I feel like it was all meant just for this purpose to win state.
You cut 50 pounds?
3 weeks, 50 pounds.
Wow. Now next year, you're going to go on and play football. Where are you going to play football at next year?
Illinois State University.
So you're going to be a Redbird. You're going to stay in the state. That's awesome. What's the emotion of wrestling your last high school match ever?
I actually feel better about wrestling right now. I think it was cool because I was facing the stars when I pinned the kid, so I feel like I was on top of the world just doing that.
Well, it's a special moment in your life. It's a special moment for your school. Congratulations, state champion. Job well done, and we'll see you on the football field.
Yep, thank you.
And we've got a good one here right now. We'll start off from Lamont. Okay, this is a wrestling family. I know you've heard this name, Kyle Schickel. He's a number one ranked young man in the state right now as a freshman. And he will be wrestling Justin Cardani from Centennial. And he's ranked number 2. And I believe that Centennial, he represents the school in terms of they've never had a state wrestling
Never had a state champion, so this would be
he's going to
something
be the
unique.
first one right here, yeah.
He's another one I got a chance there in our conference, and I've seen him. He was a super IKWF wrestler, Boo, but always like at 84 and those kind of things. And
it's a nice fireman's right off the whistle
and
there.
he still hasn't grown into a full-size 106, but he's so enjoyable to watch because he's so match smart, if that's the correct terminology, and he just comes after you for 6 straight minutes. So been really enjoyed watching him wrestle the last couple years. And Schickel, only a freshman from Lamont. Lamont's got another great program year in and year out.
Yep.
John Sinclair's their head coach up there, and they just always produce quality kids.
Yeah, Lamont year in and year out is always a team to beat in Class 2A.
Dion Wiley's our head referee here. He's being assisted by Daniel McDonald. Slides the leg in. Look at the way he's splitting the legs there.
Well, Schickel kind of walked into a buzzstorm there. The match started, boom, he was right on his back. He didn't give up any back points, and he's just got to kind of regroup right here. He's only down 2-0. He's got to get something at the end of this period. Don't know what we have here.
Nah, give him a stalemate. Yeah, he was. I think he was talking to him about watch that cross face because it came across real quick, and that's a good call by the referee. Instead of, just say, next, watch what you're doing, we'll break it for a stalemate. As I said, Cardani probably doesn't weigh 104, 105.
Right. Well, Schickel himself as a freshman looks a little bit undersized too. I think these are two guys, which again, goes to show you, it's not always about bigger and stronger. Technique goes a long, long way.
And I'll give credit to our IKWF system, our grade school. So these kids all come through that, and they do so well, and they get a lot of good, solid techniques. And by the time they get to high school, they're ready to go.
No doubt. That's a good job by Schickel. Now he's right back where he wants. He's got 45 seconds left, a 2-1 match. He kind of weathered the storm there. Now he's got to get his offense rolling.
He weathered the early, not give up the 4, just gave up the 2, and he kept him right in.
That was huge. Well, it's obvious Cardani has a very good fireman's carry.
He's just so active.
So I'm going to be real leery of throwing overhooks here. I'm going to make sure that we kind of swim out of that and avoid that the best ability. And that's another thing about the tournament. If you're going to wrestle certain guys and you see certain things, and in a duel it's a little easier to scout and you know that kind of stuff. But you can't drill certain things. You got to get to that match first. So.
And we just talked about Lamont, the program they have. Centennial down in Champaign. Ed Mears, their head coach, Boo, and they don't have a whole lot of good kids.
Right.
But the kids he gets, coaches them up well, and for them to have a chance to be a state champion would be quite unique for their program down here.
Well, there's 3 seconds left here. 2-1 match. Okay, Schickel's going to go down right away.
He said it with a lot of confidence, too, so he's thinking he's going to get away. It wasn't like, gee, what should I do? And I always like that when a boy says right away, I've got confidence I can get this done.
Well, he's got the big thing right here now is when he gets out of these scramble positions, gets to his feet, Cardani wants to hit that carry right off a transitional thing. So he's got to make sure that he's stepping out and away from that. He can't let him underneath him. That's going to be because he's done it off the transition. Right on the start of the match, boom, he was walking into him and he hit it off the transition. Then he almost hit it again. So he obviously loves to set it up like most firemen's guys do.
I like the way Cardani runs his feet up there on top.
Well, he's tough on top. He does a nice job with that butcher. Not really a butcher. We call it an elbow butcher.
We call it a corkscrew, but same deal. Instead of over the face, he's under the arm is what it amounts to. Puts a lot of pressure on that far shoulder. Needs to stay active with those hands, though, otherwise they're going to break this. Yep, there you go. Stalemate. He wasn't active enough with the hands. He was just laying. I think next time it'll be stalling on top. Schickel needs to get moving on the whistle. Once he gets flattened out, he struggles quite a bit with him. There he did, got up to his feet. Cardani could get his head back into the ribs, this would be a little bit more effective for him.
Or he wants to pick that. He wants to pick
the
that
leg
knee
up.
and he wants to step through it. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, you're right.
He
is trying to step through off
now
the leg. Good call.
But Schickle's doing a good job there. Schickle's fighting well. And
he's staying in the match.
Yeah, he's doing a good job holding position. He's just got to figure out now.
He needs to get a point here.
Right.
Again, see if somebody gets hit for stalling, because there's not much action. And Cardani's really not looking to do much. He's telling him, he says, we need some work out of both of you. He bought himself some time there by jumping to the side.
Cardani's tough. And, Kevin, this is the difference. Kyle Schickle is an outstanding wrestler, having a great, great season, coming into the tournament at 41-5. But, sometimes those 2 years difference, Cardani being
physical,
a junior,
if nothing else.
That's what it is. And that's something that's, everything being equal, that could be a difference maker. But Schickle looks very impressive right now.
Cardani's going to go on the bottom. Again, you're Schickle. You going to cut him or try and turn him?
You don't know. He might be a guy that maybe he's got
good call.
A tilt
exactly.
or
What's his
situation. So I think he's going to try to load him up here.
Something's malfunctioned on the clock here, so they're working on it. Computers are great as long as they work.
Right. Well,
here we go. We're back to getting ready here.
Okay, 2-1. See, Schickle does a good job. He's looking for a suck back, and I cuts him there. Once he gets the hips away, he doesn't want to take a chance. So he's still a takedown away from tying this match.
Yeah, here's where Cardani's got to stay active and go after him, because he's had such success, like you said, off that carry and the outside part of the carry.
Right.
See if Schickle can get to a shot.
There's an outside.
Oh, there it is. Going to freeze him. He hasn't given the two yet.
Nothing yet. He's got that arm.
There's the two.
Now he's got it.
He was so close to getting 4 off of that.
Yep.
5-1 Cardani, third period.
Champion at 106 pounds.
Just needs to keep running his feet.
Right. Now he's up 5-1 now. There's about 1:10 left, so he's got to stay active on top.
Yeah. Schickle needs to get a fresh start. He should have got out of bounds constructively. There he did. He needs to move on a whistle if he's going to have anything happen here in the next 50 seconds.
Right.
It's real important. See what he does here on the whistle. And there he did. Tried to Granby out.
Good job.
Gets his point, so he's got 43 seconds, 3 behind.
No, he can't worry about walking into something here. Oh, that was
going to get hit with the same tip again.
Cardani is a nice setup. That's it. Ray bail out there. He still has kept himself in this match.
Yeah,
he still has kept himself.
Take down, put him on his hip, and get the 4 off of it. But he's got to get to a shot. And I haven't seen him really get in position to do much, because Cardani keeps forcing that carry. Changing off.
Switches off
He needs to keep his toes in. Just walk back towards the middle.
Boy, Schickle's got some hips there, too.
Oh,
That's a great job.
For a freshman in high school.
I'll tell you what, this kid's got a bright future here. I know John St. Clair, I'm sure, is very excited. See him back in this match soon.
We're inside 15. So, Boo, we saw history for Centennial High School. Their first state champion, undefeated season. Justin Cardani, still just a junior, so we'll get a chance to see both of them again next year.
Great job.
All right, fans, we're back here at 113. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show so far. We've still got 6 more good matches to give to you. Boo, what are we going to have here at 113?
Well, we've got the #1 kid in the state, Trevor Edwards from Mattoon. He's a senior. He was 3rd in the state at 106 in 2A last year. And his opponent is Joe Arroyo from Grays Lake North. He's a senior. And he was 6th in the state in Class 3A at 113 pounds. So we've got a very interesting matchup right here.
And it's not often you see 2 seniors in a weight class at one of these lighter weight classes.
Right.
At 2A.
Arroyo is obviously the red, and Edwards is obviously the green.
His opponent.
Jeff Bowers is our head referee here. He's being worked with by Ron Vermillion. Ron from Crystal Lake, Illinois. Nice shot in on the single. Arroyo puts a good whizzer on him. Arroyo's got to get that foot to the ground.
Right.
All 106-pound award winner.
Good defense there.
Really good job of getting out of that.
All 106-pound place winners, please report to the awards area.
Well, Edwards is undefeated this year, and Arroyo only has 1 loss, 46-1. So this is obviously a premier matchup.
And Arroyo won the Sycamore tournament, which is a great tournament, and I know he won the Barrington also, and those are 2 really solid tournaments. And again, we talked about he moved down from AAA down to AA. That happened because of some of the success factor that some schools had to put up. Just maybe explain to us what the success factor is.
Well, you know, basically the success factor is implied or implied where you have a situation where teams have been successful in terms of earning team state trophies. So obviously wrestling is a little bit of a different situation because, you know, a lot of it is individual.
Yes.
But so a success factor can be added to the multiplier, which is something that has been on the private schools for years.
It's only with private schools the success factor also.
And so what happens with the multiplier is the multiplier is actually underneath the success factor. So in the case of Grays Lake North, they never would have been success factored.
Nope.
What they have probably been able to do is to petition and not be multiplied. And drop down a level is what they would have done.
What happened was because some of the schools got multiplied, they were a small AAA school, so they were allowed to drop down, and they didn't petition to stay AAAs. Yeah.
Right, that's exactly it.
Oh, hit him with the
nice
suicide power half, and he's close to scoring.
He's
got the 2, huge for him. It was nice, put in a half and just rolled, and I call it suicide because he rolled through to his back and ended up getting a good solid 2.
Arroyo looks very physical. He looked like he was a little bit better on his feet in the first period, and Edwards came out and really established something on the mat. So I think this is an extremely interesting matchup. It's a 3-1 score. Edwards in green is winning. And we're about minute 15 left here in the second period. You know, it's funny, Kevin, because you asked that question about the multiplier, the success multiplier, and obviously by my answer, I really don't know. And I just know how it has affected us in years. And it was funny because I just ran into 2 officials. Oh, there's a nice scramble on the edge, Ralph. And I ran into 2 longtime officials that I talked to in the tunnel, and they admitted the same thing to me. It's very difficult to keep track from a year-to-year basis who's moving up, who's moving down.
Yeah, exactly, because what it has to deal with is, the way I understand it, and you're right, it deals only with private schools.
Right.
And if you, they look at a 4-year time period, and if you meet certain criteria during that time period, you have to move up to the next level. So if you're a AA school, you have to move up to AAA.
Right.
And what happened with Grays Lake is because some schools had to move up, they got to move down off the deal, down to AA, because you have equal numbers in each division.
A very nice takedown there by Arroyo. Gets him right back in the match, 3-3.
16 seconds, be a big ride out for him. Edwards needs to get a point here if he can. Comes to a tripod stand, tried to roll through.
It's going to be a very interesting decision here. We'll see what happens.
I was going to ask you what you want to do third period. He's saying down.
Okay.
Because if you remember, I don't know, nice mat return.
That's been a big point of emphasis this year too, Kevin, as you know, is the trap arm, return to the mat, and I think that's a good rule. I think we've seen over the years how that has really, been something that has caused a lot of injuries.
Yeah, exactly. You're defenseless.
In harm's way. Yeah.
For those of you that don't understand what we're talking about, you're in what we call a standing defensive position. You're on top, the boy's standing, you're behind him. If you trap his arm, you cannot lift him to mat return him. You can back trip him or whatever, because too many times you'd lift him, mat return him, and he was completely defenseless, and we had some injuries. Right. At least in our area, Boo, it hasn't been much of a problem. Coaches have adjusted and taught their kids to do different things.
Right. Well, and I've always, a lot of times that is a mismatch situation, where a lot of times when that situation occurs, it's because of a mismatch of ability.
Physical talent.
Yeah, and so when you have a mismatch situation, I think kids are smart enough and coaches are smart enough to coach out of that, and you don't have to return to the mat that way. So you don't see that a lot. In terms of quality kids, they don't get their arm trapped there. They have good handles.
Nice job. He's got a mat returning, very pretty. Now he's got a riding for 58 seconds. A lot of time for Edwards. He just has to take his time, stay on a base, trying that power stance, see if he tries to Granby out of it again.
Right. That's a good job there by Royal.
Just such strong hips on top there. Again, we'll see how long Jeff Bowers lets him ride this, because he's just holding on for the most part. We're inside 20.
Well, again, there's going to be another interesting decision third period because, right here.
Yeah, he's got to ride him tough to win the match.
I thought he would be.
Again, we talked about how important riding is, and he rode heck out of him. So again, unique situation. Well, we had it happen last year. If you remember at heavyweight, remember the boy previously had been wrestled AAA and done so well and moved down to AA's.
The difference in Arroyo, the difference on his feet, as we said in the beginning, that was the difference in the match. Great job.
So our state champion there, Joe Arroyo from Grays Lake North, 47-1 and a senior. We'll be back with the 120 pounds here in just a second. Moving on to 120 pounds, Boo. What do we have for our matchup?
Well, the Punky family is back, as they usually are down here. Dak Punky from Washington is senior, and he's going for a back-to-back state championship. And last year he won in 2A at 113 pounds. He's the #1 ranked young man in the state. And Hassan Johnson from Brother Rice. And again, the situation we just got done talking about in the last match, Kevin, he was third last year in Class 3A at 106 pounds. So interesting thing also about him, he's a junior, he'll be in green. His record coming into the state tournament was only 8-0. So he's obviously missed some time this year due to injury or some other situation.
You figure he got 3 matches in the regional, 3 in the sectional.
Right.
And you mentioned the background on the Punky family. Last year they had 4 brothers, all competed for Washington. All 4 of them earned All-State. This year, one of them graduated, but they have 2 in the finals, and the other one finished 3rd at 220. So that's just a nice situation for that family.
Right. And now Punky entering the tournament had only 2 losses, and I believe both those losses were out of state to 2 Ohio kids out at the Ironman. So again, great schedule, and
he's another one that participates a lot in the freestyle and Greco, puts in a lot of time during this. What about freestyle and Greco, Boo? How important are they to kids, or what are your feelings on that?
It's extremely important. Working on skills, keeping your competitive, juices flowing all season into the summer, and there's no, you look at the kids that are superstars down here, and they wrestle year round.
Yep. Don McKillop's our head referee. Don from Manuka, and Mike McCowiak from Geneva is working with him. Punky in on a shot. Got to get his hips moving.
Johnson with a nice counter there.
Yeah.
Move.
Punky's staying active up there, and he's got a mat return him to get the 2, and there he did. And he's awful good on top, Lou. I mean, I just love to watch these Washington kids. They work that wrist and do a lot of neat things with it, and they're so creative. I always compare it to David Taylor.
Right.
I mean, he just got on top out of Penn State, and it was just so fun to watch. He wasn't afraid to put himself in weird positions, and that's the confidence some of these kids have when they're up there.
Well, I remember, you talk about going out of state and letting your kids see different things. We saw David Taylor competing against him at the Ironman when he was there with, Paris Grant.
Yep, exactly.
2-0 here, first period, Dak Punky. And, our kids got a whole nother level in terms of lesson of wrestling. Watch the David Taylor and the Lance Palmer showdowns and all the other guys out there. Just, again, you just can't, say enough about it. And obviously, we've mentioned that before. Coach Medlin sure understands that philosophy.
Oh, nice quick sit out and spin off that deal for the quick escape.
Right.
That was just pure explosion. Now he's just trying to bull rush him.
Well, that was a nice level adjustment, staying low, Punky. And you got to worry about Johnson. I mean, as tough as a young man as he is, I mean, with only 8 matches coming into the tournament, you got to worry about conditioning.
Yeah.
Is he going to, the Punky style here? I mean, he's on you, and it's going to be very tough if the more he gets down points here.
He consistently puts pressure on you looking to score, and that makes it so hard to defend.
Right.
Look at the way he's running his feet back there on the back. Like you said, laces her to the ground and just driving towards that top shoulder.
Well, I'll tell you, if I've seen the theme so far tonight, Kevin, as we talked, I'm really impressed with a lot of the top wrestling that we've seen. A lot of guys have done an outstanding job, pounding and hammering on top. And
that's so huge in my mind. If you get against somebody who's very, very solid, it's hard to consistently take them down. Absolutely. I agree when you're superior. But if you can ride him, it shortens the match, and maybe you get your one takedown and ride him, and you can do some neat things as far as getting wins.
Right, no doubt about it. It's 5-0 here.
Johnson needs to get a point here to get himself back in the match. Trying a power stand.
Punky is really, really tight up that wrist.
Oh, he just rides so hard. Yep. Usually looks to turn this into a hammer lock, but Johnson's doing a nice job of keeping that, at least keeping the wrist underneath. He's not doing much to get out. But, yeah, head's down, and he's not.
There's another stalling point. So.
Yeah.
We're under 10 seconds here for the period. 6-2 lead by Punky. And Mike McCowiak, looks like we have another issue with the scoreboard. There they fixed it. It was showing first period still.
While we have a break, Boo, I know you're real active with the IWCOA, and we've got our All-Star Meet that's coming up. Maybe give our viewers some background on what this All-Star Meet does.
Well,
First of all, the Illinois Wrestling Coaches and Officials Association is our association in the state of Illinois that supports wrestling. And we're very unique. We've got a great relationship with the IHSA. We always have. We work hand in hand with them, and basically to give our kids opportunities and give our kids, coaches and officials, recognition. And working today with the Grand March that you saw, and the recognition of all the All-Staters. We have an All-State banquet every year. The IWCOA now is sponsoring with the Frost Soft State Tournament, which is just a great tool that we've added. And then, of course, the Classic Duel, where we've dueled Indiana. Last year we moved the Classic Duel to Springfield to actually
compete during the Frost-Off state tournament. So just so many things the IWCOA does and really to support wrestling in the state of Illinois.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you also going to sponsor a girls' state tournament this year for the first time, which is kind of a unique.
Right.
Hopefully, get the girls moving forward and have some exciting things to do.
Absolutely, trying to get it off the ground, and the numbers seem to be pretty good there.
Because I know we broadcast that, call it the Super Duel or the All-Star Duel. How do kids get involved with that?
Well, basically, that's an invitation situation, and all the senior place winners be ready after this weekend. We usually contact them within a few days and try to put together 2 solid teams. So, but it's a great honor, and about a minute 3 left here. We're up 6-0 with the lead for Dak Punky over Hassan Johnson from Brother Rice. But it's a great honor, and we hope that kids will keep participating, and coaches will continue to push it, because it just makes our state so much better. When we can work and compete and work together, in the off season, have kids wrestling with each other instead of against each other like they do all season. So it's really a great event.
Well, we were fortunate enough to have one of our kids wrestling it last year, and he just loved it. Got to meet and hang kids from the other schools and kids he already knew, got to spend some time with it, and they just had a wonderful time. So I guess my point is, boy, if you get invited to be involved with this, take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
You'll have a great time.
Absolutely. 25 seconds left here, 6-0. Dak Punky is leading.
Now Johnson's actually moving much quicker. Yeah, Punky's got the whizzer in.
That's the skill level you can look at. A kid like Punky, Johnson switches off and does not score on the first transition.
Exactly.
Punky's able to go 2 or 3.
And Punky, a senior, going to Missouri next year to wrestle. He's had a great career so far, and hopefully in the next couple of years continues to get better. Johnson, only a junior, probably going to see him back here again next year.
He'll be back.
So our champion at 120 pounds, Dak Punky, Washington High School.
We will be right back with more championship action on Comcast Sportsnet.
I'm here with Dak Punky, one of the famous Punky brothers, state champion from Washington, 120 pounds, Class 2A. Dak, just talk to me about just the fact that you got a bracket board, you're going to be able to push your brother's bracket board to the side and put it up there.
Yeah, it's all about competition in the household. We always want to compete to be the better one, but at the end of the day, we're cheering each other on as much as we can. He's in the finals tonight, and I'm going to cheer as hard as I can for him. Hopefully it's harder than that match that I just won.
So you ran an 8-0 score out there. What did you do to control the match?
I just went out there and I attacked, man. I had 6 minutes left of my individual high school career. I didn't want to leave anything back. Went out there, defended all his attacks. Right off his attacks, I went to my attacks and my transitions, and that's what won me the match the whole entire time.
Now you mentioned your high school career is over with. Where are you going to wrestle at next year?
I'm wrestling at the University of Missouri.
So you're going to be a Tiger?
Yeah.
All right, going to put on the black and gold.
Boo, we're going to 126, and this promises to be a great matchup for us.
Well, we've got another Washington wrestler here, Tyler Delaware Jr., ranked 4th. He was a state champ last year at 120 pounds. And Austin Macias from Burlington, he's also a junior. He's the #1 ranked wrestler in the state right now, and he was 3rd at 120 pounds last year. So this is another great match shaping up here.
Delaware will wear the red ankle bands. And Boo in our sectional last week was at Sterling at this weight class. 8 of the top 10 ranked kids in the state were in the weight class, and it was just a great thing to watch, the competition. Delaware ended up winning it, beating Macias in the finals, so it was a great match then, and that's why I said this is going to be a fun one to watch.
Well, it's obviously very loaded, and 2 experienced guys, and very motivated, so it's going to be a great match.
Delaware's the 3rd Washington finalist we've had. We'll have another Punky here at 138, so that's their 4th one.
Well, they've definitely got a roll in here, that's for sure. I like watching Delaware wrestle. He's got a very, very tough style.
He's my kind of wrestler. He just grinds it out.
Right. Macias wants to try to elevate that there. Delaware Delaware's pinning that toe to the butt. Going to get a stalemate out of this momentarily. Here it comes. Out of bounds.
Mike McCoyak's their head referee. Ron Vermillion's working with him. Yeah, Delaware won it last year, and Boo was kind of a unique thing. He was fourth in the sectional. Came down here and just got on a roll and ended up being a state champion.
Right, yeah. Well, you know, when that happens, you beat a lot of good kids, that's for sure. And Macias, again, as we said, was third last year.
So again, these two wrestled last week in the championship. Scouting report, in other words, how much did you, if you were the coach, what would you have done as far as looking at this week, because you knew it was probably going to happen again?
Right. Well, you know, you spend time, you know, watching film. You always learn from film. That was one of the things that I, you know, was going to try to cut that corner now.
Yeah, run his feet
over. Delaware did a nice job on that lift. He's going to pop out.
Now Delaware's in position to score.
Two very, very seasoned guys here. Look at this
fun to watch. That's a great scramble. He's going to end up getting the two. That was fun to watch.
Yeah. Now, you know, too, I mean, that's a great job by those two wrestlers now. We got 7 seconds left in the period. But also, you talk about officiating. Mike McCoyak there as the official did an awesome job.
Let him go.
Not awarding points too early. You know, you award points too early, it messes up the whole flow of that and really could have affected the wrestlers.
So Delaware won that scramble, so it'll be ahead 2-0. And he's going to go underneath. Trying to power stand against him. Oh, now he exploded. I was waiting for him to explode.
No, it's, you know, and also being familiar, you know, that you know, adds another aspect to the match this weekend, and now we get an escape here.
Oh, just nice quickness by Delaware. Macias was in on a shot, and he just spun behind him before he had a chance to even get to the leg, I think. 5-0.
5-0 here. We've got a little bit over a minute, about 1:05 here in the second period. Delaware got a little high there. Macias needs to turn this into a scoring opportunity.
And Delaware to me should just bail out and give him one.
Right, which he does.
5-1, 47 seconds. Not getting the angle on that shot. He's shooting too much straight on, and Delaware's hips just are too strong for him, I think, to be able to score.
Delaware's definitely keeping the pressure on. Wrestling hard on the edge right here. That wears on a guy.
Yep.
That's one of the things you can really talk, you know, that you know what goes on in that. By watching their wrestlers, you know what goes on in that Washington room. You can tell the style, you can tell what they emphasize.
Well, you always talk about getting a kid out of his comfort zone.
Right,
in other words, push him, push him, push him, so he's not comfortable with what you're doing. And I think that we see that in a lot of these kids.
Right now, we're 10 seconds left, 5-1 match right here.
Massey's going to have a big time coming back in the third period. It's going to be really hard for him. Okay, he's going to take bottom. It'll be important that he scores as quickly as possible if he wants to get back into this.
Area at this time. All 120-pound place winners should be in the awards area at this time.
There it is. Got the escape right away, so it's 5-2.
5-2. He's back in here. He's got to get rid of. There's a nice shot.
Oh, there's a nice shot, and he got an angle on it. He needs to score here.
He's got to finish right here.
5-4. You're going to cut him or ride him, Booth?
Well, right now, I'm going to see how deep he is right now. Looks like he might have that leg. He's got it hooked.
Got the leg split.
Is it split? It's going to work a little bit, but he's going to end up cutting him here pretty quick unless he can get over on this Turk.
Yeah, he did have him split. Delaware needs to do something constructive. It looks like he's just resting under there. There's the warning for stalling.
That's it. Well, you know, Delaware was in really total control of this match. You know, had the 5-1 lead and was kind of cruising, and Macias would have none of that. So.
I still got to cut him unless you think you can get a stalling.
No, I think at this point right now you got to cut him. I think right now you got to cut him.
There you go. Good call.
Because even the stalling call, you know, they get the point there. You know, the kid has got a burst left. There's
there's a nice shot. Well, all of a sudden he got active with takedowns.
Yep.
I don't know what become of him, but he got moving. Maybe found a weakness.
Went to that left leg in the high crotch.
Now that ties it. You cut him again?
Right. Yeah, it's too much time. I'd do it right now. You got to get one more takedown.
The coaches are telling him to.
Yep.
There it is.
You don't want to be hanging here. Let him in. Let him go to work.
Here's where Delaware the last 2 years have won this kind of match. He's forced the action and scored late. Well, now he's got 1 point lead. 40 seconds left. We told you this would be a good one. It's lived up. He's on that same shot for a third time. He needs to run those feet real hard to his right.
Delaware's getting high there. He's trying to keep the chest tight. Now he's
scramble.
He's going to pop through.
And I just keep that leg.
He's inside the legs there. It's a difficult situation. Delaware.
When's this going to become two?
Not quite.
There it is.
There it is.
He's getting the backs.
That's it.
Like I said, it's been so fun watching this weight class at the sectional in here, and these two are putting on quite a show for us.
Now the scoreboard hasn't caught up yet. Macias doesn't know he's in the lead.
Yeah, he does. They just gone. There he is, our state champion.
Right.
Great match for both those kids. Austin Macias from Burlington Central.
This year's champion, 2A, 126 pounds.
Again, congratulations. Quite a show they put on for us, Boo.
Right, excellent match right there. It was kind of the tale of two matches. He had good control of the match, and Macias just really came back in the third period.
Apparently he found something that worked and just kept going back to it.
We'll be right back with more championship action on Comcast Sportsnet.
Wrestling fans, we're back. 132 pounds for us, Boo.
Well, again, we've got number one in the state, Lee Rochelle from Chicago, Washington. He's a junior. He's a defending state champion at 132 pounds. And Anthony Randazzo from Woodstock, Marion Central. He's a junior, and he's 5th ranked right here.
Yeah, and Randazzo beat Savian Haywood from Bloomington in the semifinals. Haywood was 2nd ranked, ended up pinning him. It was a great match to watch. They were throwing each other around, real enjoyable.
I saw that match yesterday, tremendous.
At 2A, 132 pounds.
And Rochelle's in on the early takedown. He leads 2-0.
Washington. His opponent, Anthony Randazzo from Woodstock, Marion.
And in Class 3A, at 132 pounds on man,
Coach at Woodstock, Marion, David Silva,
His opponent
doing a good job with that program. I noticed several kids in the last this year and coming from last year that are starting to get up onto the podium here and getting some of these big matches, putting together something up there.
In Chicago, Washington, again, a school that's got very few kids. I know Wee's brother was down here wrestling, I think, at 138 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. But I always like to see, because it's hard for some of the schools to get a good dual meet team and get that year in and year out. Get an individual. That's what makes wrestling such a great sport. An individual can get a lot of recognition for his school.
Absolutely. You know, that's one of the big proponents I've always said about the dual team, because I don't think the dual team takes anything away from this.
No,
not at all. It just adds to it. This is still, you know, the age-old, you know, focal point, the individual tournament here at the former Assembly Hall, now the State Farm Center. You know, I mean, this is it. This is the pinnacle, and the dual team, in my opinion, only adds to it.
We've got Ray Epperson as our head referee, and Dan Pulser's working with him.
That was a headshot right there. Obviously inadvertent.
And here was the big point of emphasis they had in the coaches meeting Thursday. if they think there's any chance at all this is a concussion, he's done. And they told us right up front to expect that to happen. There's going to be no ifs, ands, or buts. So,
tough situation.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't occur.
And I tell you what, Kevin, one of the things that I had seen in my travels is when we went to Wisconsin, they have a rule called a header up there. And basically what happens whenever there is a injury that involves the head or the neck, it is a 6-minute injury time, because they want to take time to evaluate, and you know, a lot of the coaches, it was, you know, liked it or didn't like it, and you know, they've argued about it for years, but they understand that, you know, with this, the short injury time that you have, you know, to evaluate somebody and to, you know, really be fair about doing that and honest about it, it's very tough to do that in that limited time. So, you know, he looks pretty good here, though. I think he's going to be ready to go.
That's good. You always would hate to see a match end on something like that.
And that's the pressure of it, too. Obviously, safety first. Everybody knows that. If there's any type of dangerous situation where, especially with the head, you wouldn't want your wrestler to go out there. But at the same time, you know, these guys, if we hit head and you know, we're ready to go, and there is no damage like that, and there's no risk of a concussion, well, that's something that you really have to evaluate.
Well, Rachel looks just so good so far. Man. He's so active on his feet. Now he looks like he's working for that tip. There you go, like you talked about earlier, is kicking that back foot to try and control it.
Right.
And he's scoring with it. Trying to set it up again.
Just very, very impressive on top tonight. You know, on all these matches, I really am impressed by their ability to ride and control from the top position.
And these kids are both only juniors. And that goes back to, like we were talking about before, coming through the grade school programs, the IKWF or the IHSA, whichever it happens to be, looking for the defensive fall again.
Yep.
The referee's right down there checking it out. Didn't quite get the head hooked with both hands.
We got a 7-1 lead after one period here for Rochelle.
He's going to go neutral. Here's Orendazzi's got to start making something happen on his feet. He hasn't been able to play any defense at all, so he's got to be maybe more offensive or change his tie-ups, whatever the case happens to be.
Loves his position he's in right
now. He's just beating him off of it. Oh, a suicide off that. Well, I don't know if the 9-1 lead, Boo, but it looks like it's going to work.
Got to have that tighter.
Yeah.
If he has that tighter, then there's not much of a risk there.
We're 9-2 with 1:15 left in the second period. There he tried it off a nice ankle pick. Kept the toes in. Good.
Good takedown.
Maybe that'll get him going here.
Well, he's back in 9-4. 1 minute left in the second period.
Now here's where you just got to grind him and see what can happen. Maybe get a near fall, because I don't see him taking him down too many times. Trying to work his cross face there as Rochelle peels the cross face off.
Well, he's got an opportunity to work something on top here. If he gets a turn.
Yeah, he needs to turn him to get him back in the match.
Well, if anything, I mean, at this situation, even if he does not score here, if he rides for 30 minutes, he's slowed down a little bit of the momentum.
Yep, exactly. Rochelle's got to do something constructive off the bottom.
Please stick around for a championship photo.
There it is. You could see it coming, because he's just not making any effort. But again, warning doesn't kill him.
Nope.
Still going to go that third period with a 5-point lead. Now what do you do if you're Randazzo? You going to take top?
Well, I'll tell you what. The way this period is gone, I think I might. There they go. They're going to do it. As coaches, exactly. David Silver, they're going to give him top. He's going to make him work at least here.
Yeah, Rachel's body language isn't good here. He just looks like he's down. Of course, I say that he might explode to his feet in the next 3 seconds and be out of there.
Could be playing possum.
Yeah, exactly. Needs to run those feet with his power half. Stalemate, good call. Because Rochelle was doing a great job. That second leg was never going to come in because he had that hand was going to catch it. And Randazzo couldn't do anything else, so broke him and let him come back to the position.
He's back in with that leg again.
Minute 9 left, 9-4. Rachel's not doing a heck of a lot, but he's just not getting in trouble, and he's got a 5-point lead, so he really doesn't need to do too much. He's just using his head.
He's not going to open up at all until that stalling call comes.
Even if he gets one stalling call, it still doesn't hurt him.
Right.
So a minute left. We'll see if Randazzo can do something and actually get the turn in.
Well,
he's doing a great job riding the heck out of him.
Right. If he keeps his hips down there and buries him, maybe he gets stalling call, and then maybe Rochelle panics and has to think he has to open up. So, but
it's a nice thing about getting ahead 9-4. Boy, you got a lot of things you can do. Like you said, don't put yourself in any trouble. And Dazza's really working hard at that and trying to get the turn. We're inside 25 seconds right now. There's the stall. Still only makes it 9-5. Even if he turns him, he's not going. He's going to have to pin him now to beat him. So we're going to crown a champion at 132. Rachel. Second championship for him, still only a junior, so he could potentially be a 3-time state champion for us.
Gets a reversal at the buzzer with Randazzo trying to kind of a desperation throw there. But
like I said, I got no problem with Randazzo. He did everything he could to win and just didn't quite get it done. Fell too far behind too early to make the comeback.
So, like you said, 2 juniors will be back next year.
A lot of juniors in our matches tonight. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. We only have 2 more for you to enjoy, so make sure you stay with us here.
I'm here with Rochelle from Washington High School, Chicago, Washington, now a 2-time state champ. What did you do different today, to keep your streak going and make sure that you did not lose?
Secure win, get to my offense more often, fast and quick and easy.
And it looked like you were in total control out there today, not even really challenged all weekend. It seemed like you had a plan that was different than I've seen you in the past. What was the plan for the whole weekend?
Just coming out to dominate and try to dominate and win. That's basically it.
So what's your next chapter?
Get a 3. I finally beat my coach. He was a 1-timer. I'm a 2-timer. And to be the first city 3-timer.
Well, there it is. He's from the Chicago Public League. He's from Chicago to Washington High School. Rochelle, a state champ, and you got it done today. Next season's just started, right?
Yes, sir.
Celebrate tonight and slide another bracket board up and go to work again.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, wrestling fans. We're now to 138 pounds for another tremendous matchup for us tonight, Boo.
Again, we have the #1 ranked boy in the state, Lenny Peterson from Crystal Lake. And he is a senior. And we also have Blaze Punky from Washington as a junior, #2 ranked. So a great bout here, Kevin.
And Peterson was state champion last year at 138, and Punky, I think, was 4th in this weight class. When we talk about rankings, The Go Earn It sponsors the rankings for Illinois Mapman, and Rob Sherrill puts them together, and they're kind of like the Bible for rankings. Rob does such a great job. People, I mean, really take these things seriously, and it's real interesting to watch all the different rankings as he comes up with them. He does it individuals and teams, actually.
Rob does a great job, fantastic job.
Punky's in red ankle bands. Again, over in the green corner, Crystal Lake, Justin Lear does a tremendous job up there with them year in and year out.
I got Justin Lear and his assistant Sam Brody.
Because I always enjoy their kids on top. They run that cross-face series as well as anybody.
Right. Well, again, you know, they wrestle a good schedule, a lot of good competition. A lot of their kids are active throughout the summer. You know, these are two very premier programs in 2A. Obviously, we talked about Washington, and Blaze Punky is 17-2 coming into the tournament, so obviously he did not wrestle.
Now he had some injury problems early in the year.
And his two losses are to a young man from Florida and Ohio. So again, going outside the state to try to, you know, get challenges and toughen up the kids is a winning formula for Coach Medlin.
And I mentioned earlier, well, Bloomington may be the second best team in the state. If they're not, it's Crystal Lake Central.
Right.
And looking at the brackets, they would draw Washington in the quarterfinals. So
another tough situation.
Yeah, not quite a good situation as far as maybe getting the top teams into the Final Four, if nothing else.
We're at 45 seconds here, no score, first period.
Gimbu, in your dealings, boy wins a state championship one year. Is it easy to keep him where he wants to keep getting better and better, or sometimes they just maybe, I won it last year, I'll just kind of coast a little bit?
You know, I don't think if a kid's at that level and he's a state champion, I don't think they ever, you know, go into it with that. What happens is, you know this, there's so many things that have to go right, you know, in that situation. And, you know, part of it is just luck of the draw.
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
you may come back as a senior and have a guy, you know, that is just
bumped up a weight class,
absolutely,
or
that's one of the best kids in history. And, you know, what if you have Jacob Warner in your weight class, and, you know, what are you going to do? You can battle him tough, but some kids are you know, a little bit, they fall prey to the luck of the draw. So that always factors into it. And then, you know, wrestling itself is you know, a tough sport. So injuries happen and a lot of things.
How about leading into the dual team state? How hard is it to motivate these kids to come back next week?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Upset Tuesday's coming up. You know,
yeah, exactly.
It's one of my favorite days of the year, and you see it across the state of Illinois every year. A state champion, you know, gets and, you know, kind of, for lack of a better word, dethroned and gets upset and knocked off. You got a young man that maybe didn't even get out of the sectional, and he's been honing and training and taking out his anger for last week and a half. And, you know, this whole situation here, going through this, you know, this is a very intense situation, and it can drain you, you know, from a mental standpoint, first of all. So we got a 1-0 match here.
And both seem to have a similar style. Hit a lot of slide-bys, like to get in that tie position. Jim Carnahan's refereeing the match. Scott Holbrook's working with him. And again, think of the referees, Boo. They've been down here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, not taking breaks. I mean, they got to bring their A game on Saturday night. We talk about how difficult it is, but they still, to me, just do a tremendous job.
Well, I always used to say that too. You know, Saturday night was always a difference. You know, you could tell the coaches when they walk back into the hotel after tonight. You know, and you know they're figuring out. They got, you know, basically a little bit more than 48 hours before they're on the mat again.
Yeah.
So they're figuring out what they're going to do tomorrow. What kind of workout are we going to work out here in the morning? Keep everybody down here overnight. We got a blood time here. And are we going to get ourselves ready that way? Are we going to get up early, go back, get a good workout in at school? You know, that's what you're doing. And you know, this time of the year, you know, I you know, the coaches that don't have that pressure on them tonight, it's over. So they're going and they're kicking back tonight, and you know, going out for a big steak or whatever. And it's kind of funny to see the difference. I know, you know, Coach Medlin and these guys, you know, they're going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to work
now
tonight.
the second season starts.
Exactly. So they got to get things ready, and then you know, you get through Tuesday night, and then obviously you got to crank it all up again on Saturday and wrestle 3 tough duels. It's a grind. It's a grind. Yep, looks like we got a. Is there more blood, or I think they, you know, and you know, first of all, loading back up to, you know, bringing all the kids down here. You know, we used to travel with our team and have to bring all the kids, because obviously with the dual team situation, you can't just rely on your superstars.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about that next week at the dual part, how important those other kids are.
Exactly.
And that's what makes me appreciate wrestling so much. They've got schools like these, Crystal Lake, Washington, Bloomington, those kind of schools where it's a big thing there for their team, and they can have success that way. For other schools, we saw Urbana and Champaign Centennial. They don't have that kind of thing. They can't because of the situation they're in, but they still can have some kids who compete and do things really, really well. He was out. Good call. Now that's the high school rule. We could all sit and moan about it, but he made the correct call. He was right there, and that foot went out, and that says once it's out, it's out.
And we got 15 seconds left here. Again, Blaze Punky is up 1-0. There was a takedown.
Nice take. Got to get him to the mat. There's
That's it. He's got supporting points on the mat.
Huge to score in the last 10 seconds. Huge. Right away chooses bottom. Punky will be on top. Here's where usually, Boo, I'd say I look to cut him. Not as good as these Washington kids are with that tip. They can get that cheat two off the whole thing and get back into the match. Peterson, a great job getting out of that 3-1 lead.
On that leg again.
Punky, nice job of countering.
He gets in on the inside trip. Oh, he just got a little
just a nice
there.
scramble. Yep.
All 132-pound place winners should be in the award.
Like I said, he's been injured all year long, and I'm hating to maybe guess it's the same thing coming back. Should get himself on blood time instead of injury time, because he is bleeding. They did put him on blood time. I would say he's one way or another. He's got to do something constructive here.
Well, you know, and right here, you know, you'd like to have a little much. Just get a takedown here.
Yep, get right back in the match.
Get a takedown here. You know, you're.
See, if I'm Peterson, and Justin Lear should have told him watch the flurry right away. He's going to come out real quick to try and score on you. And Peterson withstood it.
Right. That's it.
Well, they're both working those slide bys to death, but neither one of them are stepping quick enough to score.
Oh, that's a nice cross shot there. Very nice job by Peterson. Very smooth. 7-2 lead now. Minute left in the third period. Lenny Peterson is really
looks sharp.
Working hard. He looks sharp.
I can tell you, he's looked really good to me tonight.
Had a great tournament. Yep.
Looked good on his feet. Looked good off the top.
No, he's had a technical fall and 2 pins leading into this match, and
he's got the Crystal Lake crossface on him.
Yep. So he's been dominant this tournament. .20 seconds left. 7-2 lead for Peterson here from Crystal Lake. Looks like we got another blood time here. It was 1988 or 89.
Okay.
And it was pretty magical. The old tunnel, there used to be a crystallization on the floor where the lights used to actually reflect off it looked like little diamond chips on the floor. And you know, it was a pretty neat experience, even as a coach, going in there when we got our first couple wrestlers down, and you know, it's just something that stays with you, and you know, you'll never forget that. I hadn't been down there in a couple years, obviously, and you know, this week was down there a couple of times, yesterday and today, and it brought back a lot of memories, Kevin, a lot of feelings. So.
All right, we ended here at 138 pounds, a two-time state champion. Again, number 1 against number 2. And we saw a great match with our champion, Lenny Peterson from Crystal Lake Central.
We'll be right back with more championship action on Comcast Sportsnet.
Well, Boo, we're back for our last match, and I'm going to tell you, we might have saved the best for last. This is going to just be a great one if it lives up to my expectations, at least.
Well, we've got number 2 in the state, Gavin Sutton from Richmond Burton High School. He's a senior, second in state last year at 138 pounds. And obviously the Sutton family's had quite a bit of success down here from Richmond. And Mikey Hartnett from Morton, he's a junior, and he was 6th last year at 138. And again, as you look at this, I mean, you know, we've got Mikey Hartnett is undefeated, and Sutton obviously is rolling through the tournament and been very dominant. So this is a big time match right here.
A little bit of background on Hartnett. He was in the semifinals last year and got hurt, and he didn't get to wrestle after that. That's how he ended up 6th.
Right.
So this is just going to be a great matchup. Sutton beat Egan Berta, who was ranked 1st from Lamont, and beat him in the semifinals. So this one's going to be fun for us, I think.
Hartnett from Morton and his opponent, Gavin Sutton of Richmond Burton.
And in class 3A at 145 on mat 3 from Montini, Will.
A lot of action. Oh, nice shot. Hartnett bailed out off the deal. Just look at the way they're moving each other around. That's what you try and look for in wrestlers.
Yeah, they're both very quick.
Hartnett's in on a good shot, takes the steps. Oh, watch his knee under there. Good call. That's Matt Hennebree from Lamont as the head referee. Jeff Sorensen's working for him. Yeah, Hartnett last year tore his ACL and was out for 6 or 8 months and really had to work hard to get back into wrestling. But
well, he's put together a great year this year. He's 32-0 entering the tournament, and you know, he's done an excellent job, and he's in on
nice
a
reshot.
Great reshot by Sutton.
All 138-pound place winners.
Hartnett needs to either take a stalemate or get an angle because he's not going to score from there.
Trying to shelf that leg there. Oh, he rolled through. Nice job there.
Sutton's got to get that leg out in front.
Got 25 seconds left here.
Hartnett's just trying to get a stalemate.
He's in a Granby position here.
I don't know if his hips are in the right spot to get it. He needs to just get a stalemate and get out of the period.
Right. He's flattened out.
Oh, Sutton's got to run it. Yep, gave up the points with 5 seconds left. Great scramble.
That's a big takedown there.
Yep, big points. And Richmond Burton's got such a great program. I mean, we keep talking about these great programs because we're both old enough to remember Jordan Blanton.
Oh, yeah.
Deckow from up there and all the different success they've had with these Sutton kids. It's just been real enjoyable to watch them in the last few years. He cuts him.
So we're a 2-1 match here.
Hartnett keeps trying to come straight on him. I don't think that's going to work. He's got to get maybe an angle. There he came to an angle a little bit.
I needed to commit to that a little bit more, but I think that's
what he got those good, solid hips.
Yeah. Right.
Let's see how quick we get to a stalemate, because really neither one of them's looking to do a whole lot.
Right. Well, we need to, as you said before, we need to create a little bit of some angles here, more or less straight on. 45 seconds left here in the second period.
That was a nice shot.
Once again, we'd like to
hit
get up
defense
all
here.
champions, all classes, all weight
Gavin
classes.
Sutton winning 2-1 right here.
Award ceremony for 145 pounds.
This next point's going to be big. Whoever gets
Absolutely.
his takedown, I'm liking their chances.
Well, the difference in the match is what you always say as a coach. You got to win the end of the last 10 seconds of each of the periods.
Score last.
Yeah. And right now, that was Sutton scoring at the end of the first period.
Sutton just so quick when Hartnett gets in on that shot. He's out of there before he can even get to the leg.
Ooh, throw by situation. No, nothing at the end. Boy, if he had another couple of seconds, he might have been able to scoot around.
Those are the kind of flurries you like to see.
Right. I think we got a blood situation here now.
So again, 2-1. Going to go to the third period here. We've cut the blood time. What happens is you're on blood time, you get 5 minutes. Then once the blood stops and they just go to clean it up, your blood time clock stops and you get unlimited blood stoppages, correct? As long as you don't lose your 5 minutes.
Right. And good referees will understand that, and they'll stop it and use cleanup time and make sure they're not going to penalize guys, because
you'd hate to see a guy lose a match because he couldn't stop bleeding.
Absolutely.
So here we go. We're ready to start our third period, 2-1. Sutton over Hartnett. Hartnett's going to cut him.
All 138-pound place winners should be in the awards area at this time. All 138
Sutton, he wants to rotate that now.
Yeah, good. Put him on his hip.
He's going to finish here.
Big takedown.
No, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Good lift there by Hartnett.
Hartnett's going to get a stalemate out of all this.
It's a great defensive exchange.
Exactly.
Right there.
I called it too soon.
Now he wants to reach back, cross face that there. That's going to get it off. There's the points. Now Sutton is in control now. 1:15 left here in the third period.
You just got to ride him tough.
Yep.
Hartnett's got to get moving. Still a lot of time, 1:07, but he's got to create a flurry and win the flurry. All the flurries basically have ended up in a neutral type of position. There's the escape. In on a shot. Got the angle this time.
Boy, Sutton's tough there.
Boy, isn't
that
he
headlock.
tough.
Nope,
he didn't have the hips on it.
Nope.
Against 90% of the world, you score with that shot.
Gavin Sutton now, we're at 40 seconds in the third period. He's up 7-2.
Just got to stay active with his ride, and he'll be all set. Hartnett needs to get a fresh start, get out of bounds. Because Sutton's doing the right thing. He's just riding at the edge where he can't get in any trouble. "27 seconds left for us. Hartnett tries a power stand. He's to his feet. Sutton just going to cut him.
7-3 here, 20 seconds left.
Hartnett's got any kind of throw, he's got to go for it. So we're going to crown our champion here at 145 pounds. Gavin Sutton, a senior. Last year was second, and he'll create himself a state championship. So we're going to break one more time, then we'll be back with our final review of the evening.
Kevin Sutton, the state champion, Richmond Burton. You were runner-up last year. What made the difference to get you to the top step of the podium?
I took last year's loss and used it as drive this year. I didn't want to run her up again. I wanted to finish out strong and end my senior year on a high note.
Well, you definitely got it done. You were kind of dominating out there. What was your strategy?
Just kind of control the pace of the match, make the tempo in my favor, and try and put some points on it early.
Well, and you're a nationally ranked wrestler. You know what you've got to do to win matches. But now next year you're going to wrestle at a whole new arena on a whole new level. What's your plans for college?
I mean, just work my butt off there and listen to my coaches. They're a bunch of great guys at North Dakota State, and I'm excited to learn from them and see what my future holds.
Boo, we had a great night tonight. We hope you all enjoyed it. 14 great matches. What are a couple of things that stand out in your minds that we saw in the last couple hours?
Well, obviously, I like history, and I think the 106-pound match there, Justin Cardani being the first state champion ever from Centennial High School. Congratulations to them on a great match. He just did a fantastic job. And, really, how can you overlook the dominance and really the greatness of Jacob Warner? Completes really the crowning achievement, a three-time state champion here and a four-time finalist. He's got a great career ahead of him, and those are the things that stuck out to me. Obviously, the amount of talent, Kevin, that I saw, and we talk about this every year. Congratulations to all of these young men, all of the finalists, all of the coaches, whether they won or lost. It's what makes our sport just great in the state of Illinois. So,
and again, I'll take that next few years. We'll get a chance to watch a lot of these kids in college, and hopefully they have great college careers. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Warner's got a chance to be an Olympian type of thing from watching him do some things. So maybe down the road we'll be seeing him.
That would be great. He certainly would be fun to watch. And as you said, what makes it even best is a great kid. Has a great attitude, and you love to see that. But again, congratulations to all the boys down here. Tremendous showing once again. I mean, the wrestling just gets better every year. It's unbelievable, Kevin.
And I'm already looking forward to next year. So congratulations to all these kids, and we'll sign off. See you later.
Thanks.